none greater.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, I greet you all, my dear audience, in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. We are still discussing some of the scientific notions in the glorious Qur'an. And as we have repeatedly mentioned, the Qur'an is not a book of chemistry or physics or medicine or botany or zoology or astronomy. It's a book of guidance to man in areas that cannot be correctly addressed by man, such as the area of faith, the area of acts of worship, the area of the moral code, and the area of the code of transactions with others. These four basic areas cannot be correctly addressed by man, and hence the need for the divine guidance. And we said that this guidance was implanted in the inner nature of man and was taught to Adam and Eve, may Allah be pleased with them both, on the moment of their creation, and was revealed through a very long chain of messengers and prophets. 124,000 prophets have been sent to every corner of this globe for the guidance of man. And Allah has chosen from this large number of prophets 315 messengers. And we said that if the message is there and people have turned their backs to it, Allah will send a prophet to bring people back to the divine guidance. If the guidance has been lost, has been distorted, has been tampered by man, Allah would send a new messenger with a new message, with exactly the same details, although there may be certain developments in the area of legislation, keeping in mind the complexity of life with time. And there had to be an end to that process of divine guidance to man. And the end was the coming of Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the revelation of the glorious Qur'an to him. And that's why we say that the glorious Qur'an is the only form of divine guidance within the hands of man today that has been kept intact in exactly the same language of revelation, the Arabic language, preserved by the will of Allah, word to word and letter to letter. So whoever would like to be guided by the divine guidance has to read the Qur'an. Any contemporary scientist who would like to have a scientific proof about any argument we raise with him, to believe in the Creator, to believe in the oneness of the Creator, the need that this Creator has to be exalted above all his creation. Neither matter nor energy can shape him, neither space nor time can delimit his identity. He is above our capacity to think. And that's why we have to accept every quality he has ascribed to himself in the glorious Qur'an, and every name he ascribed to himself in the glorious Qur'an. And these cosmic verses come in great degree of precision, linguistically and scientifically, in one go, to testify to the scientists of our time and to people of our time in general who are highly fascinated by science and technology, that there is an immense quantity of scientific facts in the glorious Qur'an that could never ever be reached by man at the time of revelation of this noble book, or even for several centuries after the date of its revelation. One of these aspects which I would like to talk to you about is the notion of plants and their products in the glorious Qur'an. I will begin with a verse in Surah Yasin, chapter number 36 in the glorious Qur'an, and the verse is number 80. It comes towards the end of Surah Yasin, and it reads, one of the qualities of Allah that can testify to his divine nature, that convince every sane person that this is the work of the Creator. The verse reads, الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. One of the signs of the majesty of Allah, of the might and knowledge and wisdom of Allah, is the fact that He has made out of the green trees energy, fire. The translation goes as follows: He, meaning Allah, all glory be to Him, who produces for you fire out of the green tree, then behold, you kindle therewith your own fires. And one would wonder, what does this mean? How can the green tree be the source of energy, be the source of fire? Only very recently we came to realize that by the process of photosynthesis, the green plant takes carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, takes water from the ground or through irrigation or through rain or through the humidity of the atmosphere, and with the energy of the sun, it breaks these two components to its initial composition. Water is broken into its initial components, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. The hydrogen atoms are retained by the green leaf of the green plant, and the oxygen is released for the benefit of breathing human beings and animals. Similarly, carbon dioxide is dissociated to its initial components, 1 carbon atom and 2 oxygen atoms. The carbon atom is retained and the 2 oxygen atoms are released for the benefit of breathing humans and animals. And then with the energy of the sun, Allah has given tiny little entities in the green leaf called the chloroplastids to join the carbon atom with a large number of the hydrogen atoms to form a chain of food materials, all the cellulosic material, all the sugar materials, all the plant oils, the plant greases. All this is created by the will of Allah within these tiny little entities, the chloroplastids, in the green leaf of the green plant. And this is really one of the wonders of the Creator. By this process, the green trees have become the easiest source to give to man part of the energy of the sun without giving him the trouble of going to the sun. These carbohydrates, once eaten by man and digested in his own body or her own body, it gives him the energy of movement, the energy of doing his own duties and his tasks. And after all, part of this energy comes to the atmosphere as carbon dioxide in the process of breathing. It comes as discharged material from within the human body. And with this process, carbon dioxide is taken from the atmosphere and released to the atmosphere in a balanced manner that can testify to the might, knowledge, and wisdom of the Creator. Once the green plant is dried, it gives us wood that can be used as a source of energy. And the source of energy is the carbon atoms, which the plant absorbed from the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere. When it is buried by man, this wood or ash or any remains of these green plants, once buried by man, it can actually change into coal, which we call botanical coal. If it is buried in deltas or along shorelines, the torrential rain and channels can carry these plant remains to the deltaic area or along the shorelines and would be buried by the sediments and would actually be partially decayed to give us peat, lignite, anthracite, all forms of coal, natural coal, which we can mine in the underground. When the woody material or ash or any remains of the living plants dry and burn, it releases the carbon dioxide to the atmosphere, which was taken originally from it. And I think we are heading to a short break, and I will stop here, hoping to see you after the break. And until then, I thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, blessings, and mercy be with you all. Coming back from this short break, I greet you, my dear audience, in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. Before the break, we were discussing how Allah, all glory be to Him, has given the green plant the capacity to store some of the carbon atoms taken from the carbon dioxide of the atmosphere and some of the solar energy, so that this can be used by whoever would eat the products of these plants to give him energy. Not only this, but the remains of these green plants, once it goes to seas and oceans, can be eaten up by some microscopic organism, and they can store that energy within their own bodies. Some of these planktonic foraminifera, for example, or these planktonic organisms that float on the surface of the sea without any means that would direct its movement except currents. Once these microorganisms die, they fall down to the bottoms of seas and oceans, to the bottoms of lakes and lagoons, like rain, and become immediately buried by the sediments that are being formed into these environments. Through this burial, these animal remains can decompose into oil and natural gas, depending on the degree of pressure and heat and the chances of migration to be stored in reservoirs. So this is the cycle which Allah has planned, all glory be to Him. The only means that can make solar energy available to man without using high technologies like voltaic cells or lenses or the others is the green plant. And that's why Allah is showing His great bounty on us by making the green plant a source for heat, a source for fire, a source for energy. And the verse reads, الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون. Enough to prove to you the lordship of your Creator, the majesty of your Creator, the nobility and generosity and kindness of your Creator is that He has made the green, tiny small green leaf in a green plant, a big factory that can store for you part of the energy of the sun and part of the carbon of the atmosphere, and this can be used as a source of energy in our own bodies as well as in the bodies of animals. And on decay, actually this all goes back to the formation of either coal again, or coal gas, or oil and natural oil gas. And that's why this hint here is purely scientific hint that can testify to the magnificent knowledge, power, and might of the Creator. We also read in Surah As-Saffat, chapter number 37 in the glorious Qur'an, verses 145 and 146, a notion about the story of Yunus alayhi salam. Yunus bin Matta, as he is called in the hadith of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and Jonah bin Amittai, as mentioned in the Old Testament. And we all know that Yunus, may Allah be pleased with him, was sent to the people of Nineveh. And Nineveh is a city in northern Iraq, facing Al-Mosul or around Al-Mosul. And the people of Nineveh were good Muslims, were good believers in the unity of the Creator. And then the shaitan came to them and diverted them from believing and worshipping Allah alone, without parallels, partners, or similars. The shaitan, as usual, tried to deviate them and to encourage them to worship idols. Allah sent them, Yunus alayhi salam, to bring them back to the correct belief in Allah. أن اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Worship your Lord alone. Worship Allah alone. You have no other deity than Him. And this was the essence of every message. Came from the guidance of man throughout the history of man. The people of Nineveh, or Nineveh as some writers would like to write it down, did not respond to the invitation of Yunus alayhi salam. So, through his own assessment, he thought the divine punishment will come on this city. So he left the place and moved until he reached the Mediterranean area and found a ship loaded with trade. He asked if he could join them. He wanted to go far away from the place where he thought the divine punishment will soon come down. After a while, the ship started to sink. And the people in the past used to be more aware of the divine control of this cosmos than us today. So they said there must be a sinner on board of the ship. Let us toss for the sinner. They tossed 3 times, and the toss came with Yunus. So they carried him and threw him into the sea. Allah sent a whale to take him and to throw him on the shoreline. Allah wanted to teach him a lesson that a prophet or a messenger should not react on his own judgment. He must wait the divine instruction. And Yunus, may Allah be pleased with him, was shocked by the sudden event. Suddenly he found himself in absolute darkness. He didn't know where he is, what to do. So he started seeking forgiveness from Allah. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. There is no deity except you, Allah. All glory be to you. I have definitely been one of the aggressors. So Allah forgave him and ordered the whale to throw him on the shoreline. Of course, the only whale that could take a man in its mouth without harming him is what we see today, the blue whale, which is a gigantic animal, the biggest animal we know of in the present and the past. It is much bigger than the dinosaurs, much bigger than the camels, much bigger than the elephants. Its mouth can accommodate 50 men standing on its tongue, and the mouth is closed and feel free. So the only thing that struck Yunus, may Allah be pleased with him, is the sudden event and his ignorance about where he is. He didn't know where he is. This blue whale lives near to the surface of water because it breathes with the atmospheric oxygen. So it has to bring its head once every 10 to 15 minutes above the sea level, above the water level. So Yunus was breathing with the whale, but he was shocked by the suddenness of the event and started to repent. Or what happened to him is that his clothes and his skin were actually seriously affected by the flow of water in the mouth of this whale. And when the whale threw him on the shoreline by the divine instruction, Allah wanted to shelter him because he is a prophet and he must be honored. He shouldn't be sown by people with exposed body. So Allah grew over him a spreading tree of the gourd kind. Of course, these gourds do not have high stems. They develop, they grow horizontally, parallel to the ground surface. And there is a great wisdom in that. Firstly, Allah wanted to shelter him until somebody would bring him new clothes. Allah wanted to treat him because it has been scientifically proved that plants of the gourd family all contain antibiotics in the roots, in the stems, in the branches, in the leaves, in the fruit. So his body was affected by the strong current going in and out of the whale, and Allah wanted to treat him. Most of these gourd plants have very large leaves that are very tender. It doesn't carry any spines, any harmful material. So as if Allah wanted to try him, to deal with his ailments properly. And because of this, most of the gourd plants, no insects can approach them due to the abundance of antibiotics in them. And we read in the translation, but we, meaning Allah, all glory be to him, cast him forth on the open land. Allah ordered the whale to throw him in the open land in a state of sickness. And his sickness, he was exhausted, his skin was highly damaged, and we caused to grow over him a spreading plant of the gourd kind. And here I dare say that this is one of the beautiful signs of the scientific precision of the glorious Qur'an, because the fact that gourd plants were proved to contain abundant antibiotics is a new discovery. Nobody knew this before. Most of the gourd fruits can be eaten raw. They contain plenty of water. So Allah wants to protect him, to shield him, to send insects away from him, and to treat his ailments, and to feed him and water him. And that's why Allah has chosen this particular plant to shelter Yunus alayhi salam with it. And I think we have used all our time. I'll stop here, hoping to see you in another episode. And until we meet, I thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all.